Hello, and welcome to Dark Sigma Studios. I'm your host, Raxmo, the backend director at Dark Sigma Studios, and I'm not entirely sure why this isn't quite working. I'll just run that down quite a bit. Alright, so that should be fine. Okay. So, this is going to be the first of a series of videos that are going to be all about developing a game from conception to publication. And a big part of that is going to be planning, and that's what this particular videos or stream is going to be about. A little bit about myself. I have been developing and designing games as a hobby for, I don't know, about 15 years or so, give or take. And been doing coding and programming for about that long, in some regard. So, all these videos will be uploaded at, all these streams will be uploaded as videos with the chapters in the description, and I will be updating those live, actually. So, yeah, I guess that'll be it for the, let's see here. Why is it saying? Okay. So, the first step is the first step in all of this is the pre-planning phase. Okay. The moment that you the instant that you have the idea of making a game, you need to stop yourself, and you need to give yourself a time frame. Okay. And for this project, I'm going to be picking a year. So at the end of next April, so the end of April of 2022 is my target span. Okay. And then after that, you want to define your scope. Now, a scope is a very complex concept that can be very difficult to really nail down and understand exactly what the scope actually is. It can be very difficult to figure out how to define your scope very well, because it encompasses like how big and how complex your project actually is. So, and okay, for some reason I'm not getting any audio. Okay. I can bump it up a little bit louder. So, anyhoozle. So, one of the things that you can do is, alright, so for the scope, it encompasses how big and how complex the project is, which can be very difficult to actually define. And an easier way of doing it is, instead of figuring out how big you want your project to be, you can give yourself a time frame that is like your scope time. how long of, it's like how complex you can manage with the given time frame. And we already have the 1 year, or for you it could be like a month. I would recommend less than a year if you're just starting out. It could be very easy to just kind of go nuts if you have a very long time, and there is no substitution for repetition when you are learning a new skill. So for your scope, the time frame for your scope, you want to take your target time frame, so for me the year, and you want to cut it down to 1/3. So in this case it would be 4 months, so the end of August. And that will define our scope. Now, the project is not going to take the 4 months, it's going to take the full year. Very likely it's going to take a full year to finish this project. But I'm going to be planning this project as if I'm expecting it to only take 4 months. And it's that same kind of concept when you are planning out your own project. Right? And with that in mind, yeah, so yeah, so you have the scope time and you have your time frame. So yeah, I guess that's about it for that. So next is the planning phase. I already have Visual Studio open, and I have a Markdown document uploaded or set up here. Let's see. I can afford to make this bigger for you guys. Yeah, I like using Markdown in the context of Visual Studio because you can collapse things and it's really nice to work with. So that's why I'm personally using it. So the first 2 steps in the planning phase is to pick a project statement and to pick at least like a working title. So a lot of times it's easier to do the project statement first and then the title after. And there's exceptions to these rules. I mean, there's even exceptions to the pre-planning phase, but generally speaking, that's just my personal suggestions. So for the project statement, so the project statement here is, for this project, is, and then let's do another, Heathen's Tower. That's gonna be the name, but for here, project statement is an RPG Maker styled mystery dungeon inspired rogue like RPG. Okay. And the project statement needs to be a short, like 1 sentence, like it's your elevator pitch. It's what you tell people that gives them all the information they need without really telling them anything at all. Short, sweet, gives all the information to your target demographic. It should give them an image in their mind of what the project is going to be like, what the game is going to be like. And that might be a little bit too big. Yeah, that looks good. So, with that in mind, you want to have it be nice and short, and should be everything that they need to know. Let's do that, and that's like that. Heathen's Tower to do. Okay, that's the project statement, and let's move this up here. Yeah, there we go. These are important things to have written down. Okay, so this is to do, and they have other ways of doing this as well, but we'll get there. So, let's see. Okay. So, don't mind that. I'll get into that here shortly. So, yeah. Okay. So, now, one thing to keep in mind is that we need to pick a path now, okay? What I mean by that is that we can either pick an engine and then go from there, or you can pick a project. Like, you can either pick an engine and then choose a project and build a project around that engine, or you can pick a project and then pick an engine that is better suitable for your project. If you're learning a new engine or new game editor, then I highly recommend just grabbing it, playing around with it, and just learning the tools so that you can be better acquainted with the tools that you have at your disposal. And then the project is just kind of secondary. You're just playing around and seeing what happens. That's actually how this project originally started 7 years ago in 2014. So it's not a bad way of doing things. But a lot of the times you might have a project already in mind. And in those cases, it's better to plan out your project a little bit and then choose an engine based off of your planning. So, with that in mind, let's start actually doing that, right? So, let's start with the RPG Maker style bit, right? And that will mark down. Oh, and this is just some markdown syntax. This gives us a checkbox that we can use. So, which is super nice to do. I really like markdown files. They're really cool. But enough about that. So, and you can use whatever you want. I just like being able to collapse areas. So, yeah. And I think, ooh. Yeah, okay, perfect. I just wanted to double check something real quick. So the RPG Maker style is going to mostly govern the aesthetics, and in the aesthetics, we're going to have like an anime style graphics. Maybe we'll have kind of old school RPG world graphics, I guess. And the RPG Maker style might govern some of the mechanics as well, but largely it's going to govern the aesthetics. So for the mechanics, that's going to be largely governed by the Mystery Dungeon series. So we're going to have a dungeon, and we're going to have a hub area. If you've been playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, you're familiar with like the hub area, the guild, and let's say like the guild and the town in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers series, or if you're familiar with Red Rescue Team or Blue Rescue Team, then it's the town in your home. In Super Mystery Dungeon, it's just the town. So there's like this hub world, and then you have the dungeon area, and there's a strong separation between the two. And there's different mechanics depending on what you have, right? So the hub area should have like a shop, maybe a bank, maybe something like advancement, things like that. The dungeons are going to be randomly generated floors. We're going to have multiple floors per dungeon. Things like that. Now, this is a good spot. Now, at this point, we have a basic blocking out of everything. And, like, this is a good point to really, like, figure out what the, and this is a good point to figure out what the engine is. Alright. So, for the engine, like it's going to be really heavily determined on what kind of the engine is going to be heavily dependent. Like picking a proper engine is really important, because like we can't really use something like CryEngine or something like that. It'd be obnoxious. So to pick an engine that better suits our project. Here, I feel like I'm going really fast, but I also feel like I'm going really slow. Anywho, so to pick a proper engine, we want to start with the project statement. Like, I have RPG Maker directly in the title, in the project statement itself, right? So, yes. So, we could start there. Now, if we were to use RPG Maker, like half the work is already done with it. We nail the aesthetics. We nail, a lot of like the battle mechanics and things like that. So, like, it'd be really easy to just. You would think it'd be really easy to just use RPG Maker, but unless we're using like RPG Maker XP or heavily relying on scripts and extensions and RPG Maker VXAs or MV, we're going to be and we're not really going to be able to do it because they don't really support procedurally generated dungeons. I only have MV and VX Ace, so I'd have to like get XP, and XP is super old and archaic and outdated and deprecated. And I don't want to be heavily relying on a bunch of other people. Is this actually going to work? No way. Um, except for some reason, I'm so surprised. I guess we'll find out. Um, okay, just give me guys a little bit. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to do some editing later, but that's fine. In which case, let's bring back the music. Okay, guess we're back. Alright. We were talking about yeah, we were talking about the image. Alright, how long has that been blasting your eardrums? So, RPG Maker. It'd be fun. But it would involve a lot of script finding, script hunting, asset hunting, things like that, and that would require a lot of documentation and licensing and finding all that stuff, which I'm not above. That's an important part of making a game, is properly covering your own butt. However, I want this series to be more about making the game and less about the logistics of making a game. So RPG Maker is out. I'm not going to include any engines or game editors that I'm not familiar with, like Godot or Game Maker Studio, or a whole host of other engines out there that I'm just simply not used to. That I haven't tried, I haven't worked with, I have no idea where to even begin with them. So what about something like ClickGame Fusion? Well, ClickTeam Fusion is a phenomenal piece of software, especially if you are new to game creation, new to making a game, things like that. Because it really boils down a lot of the coding into just straight up logic, which is super nice. It's very high level. It's really easy to just import assets, work with assets, things like that. So I wouldn't have to do a lot of searching. I would have to make a lot of assets myself, or hire someone or find someone who can make the assets for me or whatever, something along those lines. Um, but it'd be fine. The issue with that is that because it's so high level, it's really difficult to do things that are like algorithm heavy. Like it it makes things a lot more obtuse. Um, Counterintuitively, it makes things a lot more difficult to really nail down the the logic in a reasonable fashion. So I'm really not looking like I'm not gonna be doing that. So ClickTeam Fusion, like while it is powerful, not quite powerful enough. So what about something like Unreal Engine, which I'm very familiar with? Unreal is super easy to get into. It's a breeze to work with. It's so nice. The blueprint system, again, boils down a lot of like the hardcore coding into easier to digest nodes that you just connect together, which is super nice. But an issue with that is that you don't have access to a lot of data structures that would make doing a lot of the algorithms later on all that easy. It'd be more difficult to use blueprints. However, Unreal Engine does support C++ coding, but I'm not familiar with C++. I kind of dread the day that I end up picking up C++ for the first time seriously. Or at least I dread the day that I seriously go to pick up C++, because C++ is super obtuse. It's very difficult to learn. It can be very difficult to learn. There's a lot of things that are really they seem arbitrary. You can do anything in C++, which is kind of an issue. Mainly because there's so many different ways of actually solving a singular problem, which is something that I don't really like. So, Unreal Engine is that. What about Unity? Unity uses C#, which I'm very familiar with, which is great, almost perfect, right? And it has a nice editor, it has nice tile map features, it has a lot of really good functionality. That would be very, very nice in the context of making a game like this. Alright? So, perfect, right? Unity sounds like it would be phenomenal. Now, if we were to use Unity, we'd essentially have to write all the dungeon generation logic, all the RPG logic, all that stuff ourselves. So what exactly would we be using Unity for? Well, really all that would be using Unity for is to like draw the maps, draw the sprites, draw the assets, which actually isn't that hard to do, and like handle keyboard input, which again isn't very difficult to do. So what would we'd use like 5% of the final product would be, using Unity. And on top of that, I'd have to work around Unity's code base. I'd have to work around the baseline, the stuff that's already there. I'd have to work almost against Unity the entire time that I'm developing this game. I mean, sure, I could use the compute shaders to generate the levels of the dungeon in stupendously fast, with hyperparallelism and batch processing, but that's like calling in a ground penetrating, minimal yield tactical nuclear bunker buster to take out an anthill. Yeah, it's effective. Would work really well, but it's not exactly necessary. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit overkill. So, it would be a lot better if we just did the whole thing ourselves. Right? And with that, right, so we might as well just do it all ourselves, right? So, with that in mind, that's what we're going to do. So now that we have the engine, right, let's edit that in real quick. So now that we have the engine, 3250. So, so because we have the engine now, we can go back through and we can refine some of these things, because we know that, since we're making our own engine effectively, we don't really need to care, like, it doesn't matter what features are available in the engine, because we can just make it. That's also kind of a double-edged sword. Any feature that we want, we can just make it a thing, but any feature that we want, we have to make it a thing. So that's going to determine a lot of the, functionality that we're thinking of. So let's, again, start from the top and work our way down. The anime style graphics. We want to have full portraits for interactions. Would be nice. I want to make a note that I'm going to say vector graphics for this. Now, we could do, now, I'm leaning towards having vector graphics for things like the, I'm leaning towards having vector graphics for even like the battle animations and things like that, right? So, and like the overworld stuff. So, right, because it'll be a lot easier to scale things, and that's really good for accessibility, because we don't know what the final resolution of the window is going to be when we publish, and when we end up drawing these windows and things like that, like, we won't really have a good idea of what these, what the end size are going to be. So, with that in mind, I'm going to be going for vector graphics. We could do pixel graphics, but that can be kind of a pain in the neck too, because then we have to handle properly scaling them and have to like limit to integer multiples of 2 with the nearest neighbor algorithm. It can be a real pain. So I'm leaning more towards vector graphics for literally everything, but that comes with its own territory and its own hazards and stuff like that. So that's one thing. Pending, let's see. Right. Whew, cool. Alright. Old school RPG world graphics. Actually, let's put that there. Let's just make that vector graphics. We want to have vector icons. This would be super nice. This is a nice song. I like it, the way it sounds. Yeah, White Bat Audio, check them out. They have a bunch of royalty-free music that you can check out. Awesome work. This is so nice. I like the Dark Synth Outrun playlist. That's what I'm listening to right now. Oh god, it sounds so good. Yes. Anywho, I'll have to figure out music for this game later. Alright. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. So, mechanics, randomly generated floors. What kind of things do we want in the floor, on the floors? We want to have a series of rooms connected by corridors. We could do a variable complexity. We could do variable sizes. We could put in traps. I think something that would be really cool is doors to rooms, and they can either be locked, locked or not. They could be trapped or not. No dead ends, and I'll get into how to implement that later. Have that. We want to have roaming enemies. I don't think this is actually gonna work. There we go. Roaming enemies. Let's do. I like the idea of having theater battles. Like, it means that you end up going into a battle, kind of like old school Final Fantasy, where you're in the overworld and whoosh, you're in a battle. And cool things about that is that we can have animated battles. We can have enemies joining in the fight. Right? So if like you're in a dungeon and you encounter one enemy, another enemy in the dungeon could walk up and join in the fight. Battle, that would be cool. Okay, multiple floors per dungeon. I'm thinking that we're only going to have one dungeon. So the shop, the bank, advancement. I'll get into these later. So I think this is good. I think this is enough for now. Well, this is like mechanics and things like that. We could do. Yeah. Um. So this is really cool. Now, here's why I really like this idea. Because over here, I can click on that, and I can collapse all of these down. So I can keep it all together, and even better, I can even collapse the entire to-do. Right? Now, in the Git changes, I have completed and pending over here. So I can move that up there into completed. Right. Now I do this because this is like the Git comment, and having good Git comments is super important. We can add things to the pending and add things to the completed as necessary, but we basically add things to the pending, and then once we finish it, we put it in completed. And that way we can keep everything very well organized. So since we're making our engine, well, I guess we could do that. 43, 5. 43. So we have essentially a blank document. This is all just what you would get if you just opened up a WPF project in Visual Studio. Okay, like absolutely. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go into the Properties tab here, and I'm going to change the background to be the same as the title bar, just so that we have that. I'm also going to go into the XML and change this grid to canvas. We're going to need to do that. So the canvas is absolutely filling up the whole thing. It's perfect. In here, now one of the things that we want to do is we want to add in a new item. We'll make it a class. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Delete. Yes. Let's add in a new item, a class. Let's call it program.cs. Add in program. Okay, so what we want to do, well, okay. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let me explain what I'm doing. So right now, if we run the program, all that happens is we just get a window. Alright? Cool. But we don't get a console. And I really like having a console to post things to. STA thread. This is a tag that allows this to be used. That's actually in the wrong area. So here we want STA thread. And then we want this to be public void main string args. Okay, so this whole thing is going to be a main thing that is going to be a console application, and it's going to allow us to launch a console, and then that console will launch our program. So we can write things to the console, which is super safe, super secure. Well, I mean, not necessarily safe and secure, it's reliable, and that's the important thing. So it can output information for us, the developers, in case things go wrong, or just to check things, just to test things, so that we can really boil everything down and make things work properly. Alright, so that first thing that we want to do is say app equals new app, and then we want to do starting task and inclusion generic. Perfect. Okay, cool. And then we want to do app.initialize component, and then app.start. No. Wrong. Okay. Now we'll launch it. And now, right? It'll just, launch a console for us, right? Not quite. And I actually need to add a new thing here that I forgot about. So this is actually going to be I'll show you what's going on. Once I class background title, let's rename this to Heathen's Tower, and then we launch it. And duplicate dev tower, and then here we move that. Yes, I want to move window capture. Why is it not? There we go. Okay. Alright. So this is all that's happening. And there is no console. So, how do you fix this? We need to go into the properties. Window output instead of window. We want to have console. And then startup object not set. I think it's Heathen's Tower dot app, or no, it's a console application. Console application. No, I don't. Why is this not working? Off to bloody... Okay. This isn't the one. This isn't the one. This isn't the one. Okay. And, is it? No, this isn't it. This isn't... this is not the one that I used. Yeah, because for some reason, my properties, it's actually not letting me switch into console application. Right. It's forcing it into a Windows application, which I'm not happy with. Because it's not actually letting me launch project. Okay. Code analysis, resources, settings, application, console application, build. Assembly name, default namespace. Is it public class? A var app. Namespace. Var app. Alright, and then I go into properties, console application, Heathen app, not set. No. Console. What happens now? Still not working. Oh, okay. Does this have it? No. Does this have it? No. It's on my desktop. Oh, that's... bloody wonderful. Okay. Oh, I love it when this happens, because I don't understand what's going wrong. For some reason, it's not letting me do it. Um, can't even. God, this is frustrating. Is this it? I'm just gonna have it. Or is Dungeon gonna have it? It's probably gonna be Dungeon. I'm sorry for this taking so long. I wasn't expecting it to be such a colossal pain in the neck. Yeah, none of this is the method that I used. I don't get it. I don't understand why I can't. Okay, and why is this not... Oh, God. Oh, everything is breaking. Let's just boot it up again. Sorry, you guys can't see what I'm doing. Okay. So... if I... Okay, if I go into here... I don't... Yo. Just, are you gonna let me do the do? That'd be great. Agenda. Wait, I might actually have to build first. Build solution. Okay. It's still not letting me do it. What? I don't care. Don't show it again. Okay. What if I go into properties now? Still not showing up. Okay. Oh. That's what I need to do. Public static void. Now I build solution. It's still not set. What? Okay. What's wrong with my music? Yeah, I'm still bloody here, thank you. Thank you for asking. This is super frustrating. I'm very sorry, people. Var app equals new app. Program has more than one entry point. This is not what I'm going for. What is going on? What do you mean program has more than one entry point defined? It's still not showing. This has never happened before. Okay. I'm gonna close it and open it again. So apparently, I guess this is just like a bug if that happens. That's super frustrating because this has never happened to me before. It's usually like super easy to do this. It's just a thing that doesn't happen sometimes. Heathen's Tower.app. There we go. Okay. So I guess if that happens, just close and reopen it, and then turn it into a console application. Yo. Still did it as Windows application. Console application. Yo, let me. Oh my god. Why is this not? God, everything is so frustrating. Now is it going to work? It still doesn't work. Why not? Yeah, program. Console application. Console application. Save. Build the solution. Run it. Still just boots it up and it doesn't even launch it. This is just so aggravating. This is so irritating. Because it's not launching the console. Why isn't it launching the console? No, I can't. There we go. What? That's not what I want. Wrong line in the project file? What does that even mean? Where?
No, coffee's not good. Smells like nothing coffee.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. How's this day going?
Very frustrating.
The stream or the coding?
The coding, because I've encountered a problem that I've literally never encountered before. First time? Well, that's never happened before. God, I feel like I'm a bloody game's done quick right now. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's fine in here, but it's freezing everywhere else.
Yeah, I'll see. Well, I want to be able to launch a console with the WPF application. In order to do that, I need to change the project type, and it won't let me do that. I've never encountered this issue before. I'm using a different .NET framework, and apparently that's kind of like a big part of it. I love Baber. This was supposed to be like 2 minutes of like, oh, this is how you launch a console with your WPF application, and it just doesn't work.
It wouldn't be coding if 20 buttons didn't crop up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is programming in a nutshell. 80% is bug fixing, 20% is actually writing code. Okay. Uh. Oh, God. Oh, this is a colossal pain in the neck. Alright, I'm beating my head against this for too long. I'm gonna have to do a different workaround. Ugh. Ugh. Oh. Output type EXD. Copy. Paste. Will that work? Oh, how did, what, when did that happen? Okay, that didn't work. Bugger! Okay, oh god, there's so much. This um this is okay. I'm just gonna go for it and hope that I'm not absolutely tearing everything apart. Okay. That's null. Heathen's Tower. Okay, wait, but why is that not even showing up? Heathen's Tower. Add. Okay. I'm gonna stop bashing my skull against this. I'm gonna make that app, hit save, and I'll have to debug this later. Like I said, I've never encountered this issue before. It's super frustrating. Because the only other option is to literally just sift through all of this. Why is it even... It's not even showing up. I don't... This is super disheartening. This is really disheartening. Because this is something that I heavily rely on. And it's not letting me do it. I could... Why, Microsoft? Why do you do this to me? First, you eat my stream partway through with an update on my laptop, and then you do this to me. Alright. This is a good learning opportunity to learn something, everybody. God. That sinks so much time. Okay. Take a look at things. God, I rely on the console so heavily. Workarounds, temporary workarounds. Uh, okay. Okay. Go into here. Do that. Is that correct? Because I think... Um... I think that's the correct one. So we'll find out. Initialize components, and then alloc console. Hopefully this will work. Yes. Okay. That was far more of a pain in the neck than I wanted it to be. Oh, and it's just not even capturing the window. Okay. Why? Okay, okay, so we have both of them working. That's great. That's not what I wanted. Okay, we have it working. Which actually means that I can go into Solution Explorer and I can just delete the program that's yes. Just go back into here. Bloody hell. Alright, so this is just stuff that allows us to do things. We have the main window, we have all this stuff, cool. So we can write things to the console. Alright. I think that's pretty much all of this setup. How long have I been doing this for? A bloody long time. Hour and bloody 30 minutes. Oh, coffee time. I feel like I should be having a drink after that. Oh. That was aggravating. Alright. The more you learn, the more you know. I actually kind of like this method. Because what we can do is we can do a build statement in here later on. Or like when we do the final build, we can just yeet this, we can just comment that out. And then build it for the final release. Have we done the full setup? Because I think we've done the setup. Okay, so we have this. God, my brain is frazzled. Let's take a look at mechanics. Okay. So, let's collect our thoughts a little bit. Okay. So, I'm thinking we should start with this. So let's boot up Blender. Go into here. Okay. Okay. Solution has been reached. So let's talk about planning out. Oh, bloody hell. Which one's shift again? That's. Let's just do top. Okay. This is shift. Cool. Let's do. Yeah, let's do white. And then let's talk about. I like using Blender for a blackboard. So, the dungeon, right? Alright. So we want to have something along the lines of rooms that are kind of haphazardly placed, and they're connected with corridors, you know, something along these lines, right? And also what would be really cool is if there's no dead ends. Um, hmm. This is an interesting point, right? Because like one thing that we could do is if we have a thing like this, it's pretty easy to have rooms set up, and then like this space is like a maze, basically, right? That's really easy to do, but we want to be able to have, um, but we want to be able to have regions kind of like this. That's interesting. So, because this is an interesting feature, right? Because this is an interesting feature. What? Why is that? That? Oh, it's because I can just erase it like that, right? Because having something like that would be interesting. Things that make you go, Also, these kinds of things. Because it wouldn't make sense to have like a room here, and then have these two be connected. That's strange. But you could also have something like that. So how... This kind of throws a whole wrench in my plan. Because essentially placing the rooms and then flood filling the rest with maze is a pretty easy algorithm to accomplish. What's more difficult is doing like these dogleg algorithms in there to connect things, because like also like what's stopping it from doing that? And having these kinds of connections. Like, how do you know what rooms are near other rooms? And like, and if there's like another room like over here, you know, we'd want to have like a door here, right? And then like this could be connected, but it doesn't. I mean, if we're removing dead ends, then and that needs to happen. What's stopping it from having a connection like this or like that? Oh. Things that make you go, Well, either way, because each of these are going to be like a node in a graph, in like graph theory, and then we're going to have connections. Like that. And we want to have essentially sensible possible connections. Right? Because we don't necessarily want to have a direct link like that. Right? Because that doesn't exactly make a whole lot of sense. That actually sounds like the dual of Voronoi tessellation. Actually, we take all of these and extend them. They create a Voronoi tessellation. Okay, let's have some more space, right? So if we have an idea of these nodes, right, and we want to create, like, visually speaking, we have the idea that we have a sensible connection, like so, right? This is the sensible connection for these graphs. And if we were to take the dual of these graphs, what I mean by the dual of the graph is kind of like the inverse. This is kind of like a terrible linkage. Right, so we have this, and these go out. Alright, so this green region, or the regions expressed by these green edges, show like it's okay, so a Voronoi tessellation is when you assign every point according to whichever vertex it is closest to, or seed point that it's closest to, whatever node it's closest to. And if you take the dual of that, then you get a different kind of tessellation. So we want to figure out the Voronoi tessellation from nodes alone in space. So let's do a similar graph here. So if we were to do that, then take effectively we would end up taking the midpoints of these. Alright. That goes that way. Alright. And then we'd have to take the dual of that. Oh, okay. Okay. Math. Um, now I was hoping to not be doing an astronomical load of research on stream. That kind of goes against the whole principle of what this live stream is supposed to be, but I mean, I guess if you want to have the most raw, okay. The Launi triangulation. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Oh, bloody hell. Ooh. Hmm. Okay. Okay. That's problem solving 101. Take a big problem and make it smaller. And we don't really know, I mean, we could kind of brute force it. Which is generally a terrible idea of doing things. Alright. Oh. Okay, so let's say as we want to do a Delaunay triangulation. So for these points, we want to do something along that. Alright. Right. We want to have that. And if we add in another one, it makes sense that the Delaunay triangulation would be something like that. Right? But if we add in another one like way out here, then the Delaunay triangulation would be different. It would be no, it would still be that. Wait, what? No, because the sum of these two angles would be different. So we want that to be like that, and that to be that, because the sum of these two angles say alpha and omega, right? These alpha plus omega needs to be less than 180 degrees. Okay, so in that case, over here, right, these two angles, these magenta angles, right, these two sum up to less than 180 degrees. And if you were to draw a circle around them, then these circles that encompasses any 3 points in the triangle only encompasses those 3 points and nothing else. Okay, because like if we were to go into blue, this angle and this angle, wow, that's really difficult to see. Thanks, give that back. That's not what I wanted to do. I completely screwed things up. Cool. I don't know how to get that back now. Dope. Just completely screwed everything up. Oh, cool. Thanks. Let's do green instead. Yeah, let's do green instead. So the green ones, those green, these green ones, if you were to encompass both of them, these are greater than 180 degrees. Because if you were to draw a circle that encompasses these guys entirely, you would end up encompassing this one, right? So that would be an invalid situation. Now, one way of doing it is that you can incrementally add points to the graph and then check it and see if it works. I feel like there's a better way of doing it. I feel like using, and if you're to like have these centers and you were to connect these centers for all of them, that, and you were to connect them, then you would end up getting a Voronoi tessellation. Something like that. See this diagram here. So one way of doing it is that we could start with the Voronoi tessellation, which I'm not entirely sure how to do when you just have a graph, basically. You just have a couple points in space. Extrapolating that would be can't think of how to do that. And basically the whole point of this is that we want to have a sensible grouping of rooms and an understanding of where its sensible neighbors are, like where to sensibly place the connections. Which is a lot easier said than done. Okay. Because it would be really, really easy to have It's easier to make more complex connections than it is to make less complex connections. Um, uh, okay. That's the wrong mouse. Too many things open. Okay. Oh. Um. Let's leave versus next. How do you spell this? D. Lowney. D. Lowney. Algorithms. Okay, because like I said, it'd be really easy to just place rooms and flood fill with connections. Right? It's actually pretty easy to do. Because we could maybe even add in a grid. How do we even do that? View? Is it in? Yeah, it's in the toolbox. I could do something like a grid. Right. And in the grid, WPF grid. Look up the grid class in the Microsoft doc. What? Okay. Oh, God. This is obnoxious. Oh, God, I'm starting to hate myself. Why did I take on this project? Oh, yeah, because it would come out really nice if I can actually pull it off. Still. I'm convinced I'm a crazy person who hates himself. How long have I been going for? 2 hours? Alright, that's fine. Okay. Mm. Okay. So, let's do something that we know. Add a new item. Do another class. Call it gen.cs. Let's do dungeon.cs. Yeah. So, the dungeon class. Things that we know. What we know that we're going to need to do is dungeon. We need to have a node. Class. We need do we want to have individual edges? Or no? Okay. Where am I at? Okay. Alright, let's think about this for a quick second. So, know that the dungeon class is going to have nodes. We need to have the nodes. We could also have cell. Maybe make it a struct maybe? Generally speaking, whenever if you want to know if you want to use a struct or a class, they're very different. Structs can do things that classes can't, and classes can do things that structs can't. But generally speaking, that if you want to have a container for information, you want to use a struct. So, like each cell in the dungeon, since it's a tile map, each tile is going to be a cell, and I mean we can say tile, but that's beside the point. Because each cell type might have a different type. For instance, the walls might have different textures, or the floors might have different textures, and things along those lines. So we want to have an public enum type. Alright, so we can have, say, floor, door. I like having doors. Wall, hit, have a trap. And trap. List of type nodes that neighbors. And then if we have connections, we can either store the connections if we do like a maze generator, that's really easy to flood fill the entire empty space between rooms with a maze. That's super easy to do. It's like basic baby's first applied algorithm with the depth first search algorithm. That's pretty easy to do. I've like failed 3 times doing it, but that's beside the point. The concept of it is really simple. Once you start having rooms and you want to have sensible connections between the rooms, it more oh, the Delani triangulation also guarantees no dead ends. Interesting. I'm not a big fan of this song. Oh, it's like almost halfway through. Is this not shuffle? Okay. I'm gonna have a public list. No. I don't want to do this. I could do like a bool array. Oh. we do a public list of type node called connections. Well, edges. Oh. So whenever you have a node, if you connect any two nodes, you have an edge. Okay, so the Delaunay triangulation. I want to make it pretty efficient, but I feel like at a certain point, really high end actually I should call this types. Cell.types dot blank, and then public for some reason this doesn't look right to me. Okay, it's okay. For some reason that word just doesn't look right to me. It just looks strange for some reason now. So okay. Alright. One thing that we're going to do. Oh, I totally screwed the pooch on this one. Because I did not do what I was supposed to be doing, actually. Command Alt and push. I wanted to do that. Alright, pending. Because basically, as soon as you clear your pending task, you want to commit and push. I didn't do that. So there's more done in here on this particular commit than I would like normally. Because I want to have key sections that I want to actually do. But it's early enough, I cut it early enough that it's not that big of a deal. Alright, so the pending is set of classes. Set of classes for generation. Or dungeon classes? I don't know. Maybe more. I can't really think of anything right now. Alright, let's get back to it. God, this is frustrating. Okay. I have the cell, we have the nodes. I don't know if I want to have... Yeah, because the neighbors are different than the edges. Not necessarily the case with... It's... Because it's a little bit... we're going to be doing multiple kind of things. Also, if you're doing a collaboration effort, doing everything on the same branch is a terrible idea. Don't do that. But I'm doing it because I'm basically going to be the only one actually doing anything, so... if anyone else ends up collaborating on this, then I'll end up having a better Git system than what I'm using right now, but it's fine for now. Version control is really important because you want to be able to just kind of yeet everything that you've done and go back to a state that's more easily definable. I really want to have a good thing. I think an onload or loaded. Canvas loaded. Console line. Here we want to have console dot right line. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, that worked. I mean, for some reason, this doesn't want to actually work properly, but, you know, whatever. I can go in and change that. So, console loaded, canvas loaded. Perfect. So we have that. Oh, except for the fact that this is, like, super long. And it obscures things. I'm actually gonna hoist that up to the top so it doesn't matter anymore. Alright, so the canvas is loaded. I don't care about that anymore. Dungeon notes is pipes. Okay. So for the most part, the main window is not even going to be a thing. So one thing that we can do is actually move this up to the top. and then collapse that. So all this is stuff we can do. And the canvas loaded is going to be a pretty important thing. And for some reason, it had that nice bar. I don't understand how I got that. I don't get it. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. I don't understand. Alright. Dungeon classes. PT1. Alright. So we have the cell, we have the nodes. That's fine. Alright. What other classes do we want to do? Right, because we have the cells, we have the types. Now let's do, I don't know, a 5x5 grid, 10 pixels each. We could do yeah. Size X. Size Y. Now you cannot have defaults. With them. Well, what you can do is have constructors. 5. Structs cannot contain explicit parameterless constructors. I can do class. In which case, it doesn't even matter. Types dot. I'm going to say that that's the default. And I'm going to say this default is 10 pixels, and this default is 10 pixels. Yeah, that's fine. I think that so in here we have Windows.media. Let's copy these. And put that in here. Put that in here. Whoa, what's the tile brush? A WPF tile brush. Towel brushes provide you with a great deal of control over how an area is painted with an image, drawing, or visual. For example, instead of just painting an area with a single stretched image, you can paint an area with a series of image tiles that create Hmm. Hmm. A rectangle. Okay, oh, actually, instead of doing this, I'll do a public rectangle. Size equals new rectangle. 10, 10. I should be able to do width equals 10, height, uh, height equals 10. Haha. Okay. Actual length equals 10, height equals 10. That should be good. Don't think the cell itself should it? Should the cell know its location? A vector, probably a type, right? A vector. Alright. That's fine. I mean, I'd rather implement my own vector class, to be honest with you. Or just use... Well... For cells, it doesn't really matter. I'm probably going to end up using imaginary numbers for entities. Oh god, entities. That's fine. In the hub area, we'll have NPCs. Okay. Oh. Mm. Alright. How long have I been doing this for? Wasted a lot of time with that launching of the window. Yeah, I don't understand why it does that. Let's try that again. Okay, perfect. Now it should work seamlessly. It should work perfectly. Yep. Okay. Alright. So we have the position of the cells. But do I really need to... So I want to have... Let's just look. Okay. Oh. Okay. Um... Let's do draw. So dodge fill. Okay. Colors. I'm having some color rush. Colors dot black. Okay. I mean, this is a messy way of doing this. It's whatever. I'm probably gonna end up refactoring this. At some point. Give myself that. I'm gonna move that up here. So we don't care about the project statement right now. The to-do is fine, the notes are fine. Okay, in the dungeon class. Let's actually let's do that. Alright. Okay. I want to draw. So, I know this is terrible because this is not how you're supposed to do this. Because the actual thing is like we're gonna have actual assets in play for this, but for now it's fine. I just want set things properly. So the position is going to be relative to the grid. So I'm just gonna draw like a couple things into it. Yeah. God, this is so messy. Alright, that's fine. So the cell, I think, I'll refactor it later. So dot eh, eh. Oh boy. I need to pass in the canvas. I need to name the canvas. Yeah. What? Bloody hell. Wait, what? Mm. Do I not need to do that? What do I do? Oh. Okay, I don't need to do that. Set left pause dot x times size dot width. Oh, So canvas loaded is actually kind of like our main function. It's kind of like our entry point. Behaves very similarly to it. So dungeon.stuff. So, I'm just gonna call it test. New dungeon.stuff. Main canvas dot children dot add test dot size test dot draw. Line cell draw. Test often, people. Very critical that you test often. You know, yes, queen. Yes. Okay, so that works perfectly well. And then what if I say yes? Very soon. Testers is new. Let's do 9. Actually, yep. Okay. So for int I equals 0, I less than 3 plus 4. J equals 0. J less than 3. J plus plus. Say I completely spelled that wrong. Oh, that updated everything so nicely. Test that. Pause. Dot x is equal to I. Test dot pause dot y is equal to j. It helps if I put in a semicolon there, doesn't it? And then testers index I comma j is equal to test. In canvas dot children dot add test dot size. Okay.
An entire room.
Brazilian with half and half.
Really? Oh, mocha something. Is Camino a way better coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, well. I would put some sugar in it, but that's just me. That's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Your coffee, but like, I don't want to pay money for it.
There's so many times that I'm opening it up and like that just legit smells like a stable. Yeah, literally smells like horseshit. Like, not even exaggerating.
Well, I straight up like had customers like try to nicely tell you what the new coffee is. Right?
No, yeah, and I'm all like, oh no, I know, it's absolute garbage. Everyone hates it. Don't feel bad. Here's a receipt. You can go into the website, complain about it. Please do. I don't want to sell this to customers anymore. Stop. Please help me. It's so bad. Yeah, it's cool. Alright, so that works. Alright, I've been bashing my skull against this for far too long. I guess I shall see you guys next week.
Bye.
This is... so much headache. Shouldn't have been this bad.
You should go eat some food.
I should go eat some food.
Say we, you can already watch.
I heard I heard you.
That's a good indicator you need to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright. So I guess I'll see you all guys next week, even though no one's watching. So,
Sorry for laughing.
yeah, it's been great. This is wonderful. I love doing this to myself. Bye!